to High Voltage Festival. How does it feel to be head-on in the Metal Hammer stage today?
It feels good.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
Absolutely. It's a nice day.
It is. Sun's shining. Yeah. Does that work for Neurosis? Does that make a difference?
By the time we go on, hopefully it'll be gone.
Right.
That's the idea.
Get a little bit of ambience going on.
Yeah. You know, we've done it. We did a couple of Finnish festivals where the sun doesn't go down, and you know, it's a different trip.
Yeah.
It's not the same, and it's not our idea. It's not our intent to play that way.
No.
You know, so we would much prefer to have the darkness in order for the visuals, you know.
Because I know there's a very big, it's not just music with Neurosis, it's the whole visual, the whole ambience, the whole package thing has to be more an environment, you know?
It has to be. That's the idea is to transform each room into our room every night, you know, no matter where we are. So,
Now you're well into your European summer tour now. How's that been going? Any particular highlights for you on that?
Yeah, it's been great. Everything's been. We've had really big crowds everywhere. Great folks. Everybody's getting on well. You know.
Excellent. Now you guys have been together since '85, and I've read numerous interviews where you always said that when you started Neurosis, it was with the view for a long-term career. Yeah, it was something that you were going to follow for the rest of your days. You've obviously changed a lot during the time. Are there still places for Neurosis to go to in 2011, all these years later? Do you still find the challenge to explore the unknown an important part of Neurosis?
Yeah, it's vital, really. I think that, you know, especially considering our approach of doing things for the long term, you need to keep things, like you said, vital and exciting, and you need to push your boundaries and experiment. So we generally try to find our weak spots and go dig in there and make them good, you know. You know, it's a lifelong commitment, this band, you know. So we just keep digging deeper and deeper, you know. Emotionally, you can't really dig deep enough, you know. So
there's always stuff
the
to
well
find.
is, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, you're involved in a lot of stuff aside from Neurosis, including some of your acoustic stuff, which is, well, I say acoustic, it is pretty much acoustic stuff. Do you find having more than one outlet for creativity gives you more confidence as a musician?
Yeah, I do, actually. That's a good question. No one's ever asked me that before. I think that it wasn't really anything that I intended with it. My main thought was that I wanted the challenge of trying to express myself through a really primitive, bare bones, the least nothing to hide behind. You know, within Neurosis, I have this cloak of amplifiers and sound and visuals and lighting that shrouds me from everyone, and even though Neurosis is very open emotionally in many ways, I felt that if I was to actually strip it down to just a voice and a guitar, or even in some points just a voice, it would force me to dig deeper into my own self, and then and that's, you know, I mean, the whole goal has really been, this whole thing is just a cathartic sort of self-expression. It's very selfish expression, trying to kind of come to terms, accept, you know, who you are, what you are, you know, become a better person in your life, you know, as opposed to just grinding to a halt, you know. And
but it must be strange, sort of like, you know, as you said, you've always had the shroud of Neurosis around you. It's like, you know, the gang of you against the world. When it's just one, it's
terrifying,
sort of like, you know,
man.
It's sort of like all the eyes are on you. You know, what's this dude?
It's fucking terrifying, for sure. It's really, you know, it's funny. It's one of those things I found when I stopped getting high all the time. I got sober about 10 years ago, about the same time I started doing the solo gigs, and that's pretty much my new high is doing solo gigs.
It's so through clear eyes.
It's so fucking scary to do it, you know. Like, it's like It's like some sort of a high, you know, where you're just, because it's bare, you know, and you got to deal with the people, you know, you got to deal with the I can hear the people if they're talking, if they aren't interested in what you're doing.
Of course.
You're laying your heart open, and people are clinking their glasses, and, you know, I mean, it can make for some pretty interesting situations, and you have to handle them, you know, on the spot.
Yeah.
And it's been, but I'm totally into it. I'm writing and recording a new record of that right now, and I feel stronger and stronger about it every song I write. Honestly, I feel that I get better at it, and I feel more ready to step into it.
That's excellent, dude. That's good. With getting back to Neurosis, now a lot of bands from various different genres cite Neurosis as an influence. You know, whether it's the visuals, whether it's the music, the emotions. How does that make you feel? Is that something that you could have ever really envisioned when you started the band?
No, I mean, that was definitely nothing we envisioned. But it's an honor, you know. I mean, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel. I mean, music is so fucking important. I mean, if it wasn't for music, I wouldn't even be here. There's no way. I wouldn't have made it through my teenage years without music. I would have fucking offed myself, you know, if I didn't have these life preservers out there.
I think everyone needs an outlet. If you can find a positive outlet, then you know what I mean.
It's even if everybody thought it was a negative outlet to listen to music and get wasted and fight all the time, you know. I mean, it's still, for me, it was something that really like helped me, you know, and I was getting wasted and fighting with other people that had the same fucking problem, right? So who gives a shit? It wasn't like, you know, nobody was really getting hurt in the deal, you know. It's kind of you know, it's important, you know. And then to go through that, you know, little 14, 15-year-old moment and start to get into some deeper shit, you know, and have bands like Crass come along and like really put some thought into it, you know, and give you some ideas about life, and there's different ways to do things, you know, there's different avenues for your life, you know, and then you start tripping on the sound and you start going back, and you know, someone turns you on to Black Sabbath, you know, and
that's it.
When Black Sabbath, you know, when you've been touched by Black Sabbath, right, you know, it's like there's that moment, and, you know, music, man, it's still, you know, to this day, the ultimate religion, the ultimate communication, you know, the most true form of communication in the world.
Yeah, there's so much honesty involved in it that it's hard to imagine why everyone doesn't feel the same.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, you know, not everybody can hear God. You know, that's basically what it comes down to. I mean, that's because music. That to me, that's what music is. You know, I don't subscribe to a religion. I just subscribe to music, man. I subscribe to the religion of the Electric Church, and that's what it's about.
That's it. You find what you need from there and just roll with it, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, we were chatting a little bit earlier, and you were saying that you've got a new record coming out, which I'd like to talk about. When you actually write new material for Neurosis, with Neurosis being a legacy band, do you often look back at previous stuff that you've done and compare it to ensure some sort of continuity, or is each album just based on where you are in that period and they'll link somehow further down the line?
Well, it's kind of both. Typically we will do some listening to the previous record, see if there's something that we in the end didn't like, that didn't work for us, and then take note of that and either remove it or decide to go deeper into it to get better at it. But primarily it's a very slow meditation of songs, you know. They come very slowly for us. It usually starts out with riffs, guitar riffs, and we start building and kind of assembling the skeletons of the songs. Then we kind of figure out the arrangements, and, you know, we just let the songs kind of build themselves until they're completed.
How does it normally work? Just sort of like you obviously sort of like, you know, record together, but when it actually comes to writing songs, do you write separate riffs and then bring them all together, chuck them in the pot and see what you've got, or do people come with set ideas for a song from start to finish?
There's not like a real set way, but I mean, typically things start with Steve and I like sitting down in a room and just putting the riffs on the table, you know, and we're always writing riffs, so you know, I mean, we'll each show up with 10 riffs and maybe little sequences of stuff, you know, and put it together and see where it's what. But you know, we co-write pretty much everything, because once we get it to that stage, you know, which is just the, you know, primordial fucking ooze of a song for us, because in the end, all of that stuff could be removed, you know, and it could just be this sonic wave that represents that original riff. Then, you know, then we start taking it to the other guys, and the other guys start to, you know, ruminate on it and try to come up with, you know, what they're thinking, and you know, once you start to bring in the keyboards, then
it takes on a whole new dimension.
It's just, so it's, you know, everybody has a real strong role in the songwriting process, and it, you know, it also starts sometimes with the drum beat, a keyboard riff, a bass line, a vocal idea, or a completely abstract sort of painting idea where we'll be like, you know, we want to create a fucking mountain.
So you still take ideas from anywhere, you don't have a set sort of like thing where to go for inspiration.
We try to just let it go, like, you know.
It's like, you know,
it's definitely like we just let it come through us, you know, when it's ready.
So like we were saying, you've got some new material that you guys are working on. Can you tell us briefly about that, how it's all going?
Well, it's we're recording in December. We're close to having it finished written, so it should be out next year. You know, I don't want to define it or anything because it's not done, you know. I'm really happy with the way that it's gone, though. You know, it's a solid batch of songs. We'll be playing a couple of the songs tonight, so the people who are here will get an opportunity to hear a little bit of it.
How difficult is it because obviously, sort of like, you know, you do a lot of headline sets where you've got an idea of where you can take the audience over a space of time. When you've got to condense that down into a festival, are sacrifices often argued about, or sort of like, you know, is there a lot of compromise that has to be made?
Well, you know, it depends. I mean, we're lucky tonight we don't have to do anything of the sort. We're actually playing a 90-minute set, which is what we've been playing. So we get a full set tonight. We had to do like a 60-minute set at the Door Festival a couple weeks ago. 60 minutes feels real short, you know, for us. I mean, 60 minutes is pretty much when you're just right in the middle of it. It's, you know, you make sacrifices to get the opportunity to possibly, you know, play to a huge amount of people who would wander into a tent randomly on any Saturday and wherever you are.
That's right, because I mean the bill today is pretty diverse. You've got fans from all different spectrums of rock wandering through.
Very old school, slanted, which we thought was pretty cool too, because we don't usually end up on those festivals.
Well, I think the good thing about festivals like that is it gives people the idea to chance something different. Like, there'll be a lot of guys that will fall upon you guys over the weekend, and we'll get something from a lot of guys that will fall on Jethro Tull. You know, so I think festivals like that work here.
I'm pissed off that we're playing directly opposite Jethro Tull, to be honest with you. That was, you know, I wanted to see that. No luck.
No luck. Okay, I think we're going to have to wrap it up now, Scott. So I'd like to thank you very much for your time. I'd like to wish you all the best with the new recording. Have a great day, and we look forward to seeing your set tonight.
Right back at you.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Take care, man.
Cheers.